Hi everyone, it's Kristi. Welcome to another meal prep video. This week for meal prep for my husband and I am doing bowls. For breakfast prep, I am making some of my chicken sausage breakfast bowls, and for lunch it's going to be chicken fajita rice bowls. I have just one dinner kit that I'm doing this week, and then my snacks. And I also did a kind of a dinner kit. I put together a meatloaf as well. All the recipes will be linked down in the description box below, as well as some of the items that you see me using, my meal prep containers and things like that. For anyone following Weight Watchers or calorie counting, I do share the Weight Watcher points and also calories on my channel as well. As always, I appreciate the thumbs up on my videos, and if you're not already subscribed, I would love for you to be part of the family. So let's jump right into this meal prep. For breakfast today, I'm going to be making my chicken sausage breakfast bowls. These are really good and they're so easy to do. These are 4 points on Weight Watchers and 239 calories, but I'm going to be adding some feta cheese to mine just to give it a little bit more protein. These have 19 grams of protein in it. The feta is going to give it an extra 5 grams of protein, 60 calories, and 2 points. I'm using these Never Any chicken breakfast sausage that I get from Aldi. I'm going to use all 7 links of those. I'm also going to use 2 cans of potatoes. These are whole potatoes, so I'm going to dice those up. And then also 12 eggs. So I have my oven preheating to 325 degrees. Since I'm going to be using the oven for the lunch, I'm going to bake my eggs. So I have a 13 by 9 inch pan that I've sprayed with cooking spray. So I'm going to get my eggs going first. I'm just cracking all 12 eggs into a bowl. And then I usually add just about a 1/4 cup of water. It just kind of makes it fluffier, I think. But if you want to use milk or half and half or whatever you want to use, you feel free to do that. And then I'm adding some salt, some pepper, and also some onion powder. Okay, once that's all mixed together, now just take the prepared pan and just dump the egg mixture right in there. And then this is going to go in the oven, like I said, 325 degrees for between 18 and 22 minutes. So while the eggs are cooking, I'm just going to slice up the chicken sausage and then just dice up the potatoes. You can buy the potatoes either diced or sliced if you prefer. I think they probably just didn't have any, so that's why I'm doing the whole potatoes and just cutting them myself. And then I've got a skillet that I've sprayed with cooking spray, and I'm just going to kind of saute those up a little bit. All right, I added a little bit of garlic salt as well. I can't even tell you how good that sausage smells. So that's all I'm going to cook them for. You can see the potatoes and the sausage have a nice golden color that they're starting to get. If you want to continue cooking them, you can. I'm going to stop now. These are going to be reheated during the week, so I'm just going to set those aside until the eggs are done. So I've taken that block of feta and I cut it, I don't know if you can tell, I cut it into 16 little cubes. That was an 8-ounce block, so each cube is half an ounce, 30 calories, or 1 point. So I'll just put it in a bag and store it in my fridge this way, and then throughout the week I can just grab a little cube and add it to salads or add it to whatever I want, and then I don't have to go through and weigh out what I want throughout the week. Alright, I've had my eggs in for 18 minutes, and you just don't want, you want to make sure they're set, which they're not moving around, so those are definitely set. So I'm going to let that sit and cool before I cut into it. So I weighed that out, it was 670, so I need about 110 in each one. So I'm just going to reverse weigh. I'm just going to pull out to where it says negative 110. Alright, and then my scale is back at the 670. So now I'm just going to cut my eggs into 6. And these baked eggs work great for breakfast sandwiches also. So they're pretty thin. They're like comparable to like what you would get at McDonald's. Then I'm just going to kind of break it up and mix it in with the potatoes and the sausage. Which there's really no need. You don't necessarily have to mix it up. You can leave it the way it is and just mix it all together the day you have it. And then to reheat these, honestly, I don't cook them longer than maybe a minute. I usually do 30 seconds and then mix them up and then do another 30 seconds. But usually the minute is all it takes. So now I'm going to take the feta and just crumble it over top. And I'm going to do a whole ounce in mine. I'm not sure if my husband wants feta in his. And he's out trimming bushes right now, so I'll ask him after. He might just want me to throw a piece of Munster cheese on his. So that's my breakfast. So with the feta, it ends up being 300 calories and 24 grams of protein. And then I also have a kiwi here that I'm probably going to eat with mine. So my whole breakfast will end up being about 350 calories. And then I also have some mandarin oranges as well that we can have. So for lunch today, I'm doing some chicken fajita rice bowls. I don't really have a recipe for this one, but I will link you to a recipe that looks very similar. And honestly, if I had black beans, I would probably follow her recipe. And that is a recipe from theskinnyishdish.com. She has a recipe for chicken fajita bowls that look really good. I actually planned on doing sheet pan chicken fajitas, and I was going to cook everything in the oven. But I decided that I want these more sauteed rather than roasted or baked, so I am going to cook these on my stove. So here I have a little bit over 2 pounds of chicken tenderloins that I've just cut into strips. And you can definitely use less. I usually use anywhere between 4 and 6 ounces of meat per serving, just depending on what it is. Usually chicken breast, I'll use a little bit more than the 4 ounces. But like if I'm having a steak or something, I usually do 4. But completely up to you, however much you want to use. So I am going to just set that aside for now. I have some bell peppers here I'm going to cut up. So I'm just going to cut those up into strips and then get them sauteing on my stove. Also, I have a couple onion here. These are just yellow onion. If I had red onion, I would prefer red, but I don't have any, so I'm just going to use those. All right, now we got to hope this all fits in my pan. In my pan, I've got some avocado oil, and now I'm just going to add my vegetables. And I may have to do this in batches. Yeah, I'm going to do it in batches. I've still got that much left. That's kind of why I was going to do it on a sheet pan, because I figured there'd be more room. But I really want it more sauteed. So I'll just do these in a couple batches. All right, so those have a pretty good char on them. So I'm going to remove them, and then I'm going to cook the next batch. All right, now we're going to season the chicken. So if you want to just use store-bought fajita seasoning, you can. I'm going to add a tablespoon of olive oil into the chicken. Next, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of chili powder, a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 2 teaspoons of paprika, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of cumin, and about a teaspoon of salt and pepper. And then just mix that together. And you know what? I ended up using a little bit less cumin. We're not really huge fans of the flavor of cumin, so I just used a little bit. So you want to make sure that's mixed all together real well. If you want, you can mix all the spices together first, just so they're kind of incorporated, but I'm just going to make sure I mix it all well. So now I'm just going to put the chicken in the same pan that I cooked the onions and peppers. All right, so I've got my meal prep containers. I put some sour cream in these little containers. I just cut up some green onion and put that in with it. And then I have a mixture of brown and white rice. And for today, I'm just using this. So for this kind, you can have half a cup for 3 points. And for half a cup, it is 110 calories. So I'm just gonna put a half a cup into each container. I haven't decided if I'm just gonna mix this together or keep everything kind of separated. All right, and then I had my peppers just sitting in here while I cooked the chicken. All right, and the last thing I'm doing with mine is just adding some of these avocado chunks. So these are just frozen avocado chunks. So for the chicken fajita, I just count it as 1 point for the oil. And then I have 3 points for my rice. I have 2 points for my sour cream and 1 for my avocado. So for me, this is a 7-point lunch and about 325 calories. But that could be different for you depending what you use for your toppings. So that is lunch this week, and I can't wait to have this. All right, I'm doing my dinner kit. So if you're new to my channel, I'll put a link down below that shows really kind of in detail how I do my dinner kits. I'm basically just putting everything into a bag and getting it ready for the night that I have it. So I'm not washing anything, just kind of getting everything together. So this first one I'm going to be doing is bourbon glazed salmon with broccoli and asparagus. So I'm just cutting my broccoli into pieces. I'll wash it the night I have it. All right, so my asparagus, I'm gonna leave in the bag. I find that it stays fresher that way rather than putting it in this bag. I'll be having this one tomorrow night. So the other thing that I have is my salmon, which I still have in the freezer. And then I have my topping for it. So in here, I just have some ginger, some Lakanto brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of that, minced garlic, an ounce of bourbon, which if you don't like to cook with alcohol, you can definitely leave that out. 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce or coconut amino, and 1 tablespoon of lime juice. So I just have that all in there, and then that way when I go to make it, that's all ready to go. And then I have my salmon that's frozen, so I'll just put that in my fridge, and then it should be thawed out by the time I need it. So that's all I'm doing for that one. And the other one I was going to do was a crock pot barbecue meatloaf. I was just going to throw that together. But we just found out that my son, daughter-in-law, and my grandkids are on their way over. So this is all I'm going to do for now. I may end up doing the crock pot meatloaf later. And if I do, then I'll just show you how I throw that together. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw together my barbecue meatloaf. So this is crock pot barbecue meatloaf. It is so easy to throw together. Usually what I do is just, when I meal prep, I put the meatloaf itself together, and then that way it's ready to go. I can just plop it in my slow cooker the day that I make it. So for this one, you can use 1.5 pounds of ground turkey breast. And if you do that, then this is only 2 points. But I usually use a mixture of it. So I have 1/2 pound of ground turkey breast, and then I use 1 pound of the 93% lean, just because it does make it a little bit more moist. But if you wanted to just use the turkey breast, you could add in some zucchini or something like that to make it a little more moist. All right, then we're gonna put in some salt and pepper. I'm gonna put in a teaspoon of oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of ground mustard, 1/2 teaspoon of ground sage, and then I have 1/3 cup of seasoned breadcrumbs. It calls for a shallot, a minced shallot. I don't have any shallot, and I really don't feel like chopping up an onion. So I'm just gonna use some minced onion, some dried minced onion. We also need a tablespoon of Worcestershire, 1/2 tablespoon of minced garlic, or in my case, more than that. We also need an egg, preferably without the shell. And then you can add some red or green peppers if you want. I'm gonna add these roasted red peppers. So I don't really care for raw peppers in my meatloaf. So these are perfect. Just gonna chop those up. I might add just a little bit more. Peppers give that so much flavor. Now just mix it all together. If you prefer gloves, you can wear gloves. I like to just dig in there with my hands. I'm just gonna plop it right into a Ziploc bag. So I don't use my reusable bags for this, just because it's just easier to cut it open after. All right, so now what you wanna do is just kind of shape it into a loaf shape in the bag. And that's it, and that's gonna go in my fridge. And then what I usually do is just cut the end, just cut it right out rather than trying to open the bag and get it out of the bag. I'll just cut around the bottom, plop it into my slow cooker, and that'll cook while I'm at work. Now, if you wanted to do a few of these ahead of time and freeze them, you definitely could do that as well. Now, the topping you can do now if you want. I'm not going to, but it's just 2 tablespoons of ketchup, 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire. I'll have these recipes linked down in the description box below. Also, it also calls for a 1/4 cup of Velveeta shreds. I don't use that anymore. I never really notice a difference in the flavor, so I just leave that out. So like I said, using ground turkey breast, it is 2 points and 188 calories. But if you use ground beef, which is 96%, then it increases the points to 6. And I think using the 93% ground turkey increases it to 4, I believe. As I always say though, don't rely on somebody else for points and calories. Plug everything into your own app, whatever app you use, and that way you know for sure how many points and calories you have. So now let me show you what I have for snacks for the week. For snacks this week, it's basically going to be fruits and vegetables. So I've got carrots, I've got some garlic hummus, I have some of the Bolthouse Farms ranch, and also some yogurt. I've got some mandarin oranges, some bananas I need to use up. So that's my meal prep for this week. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one.